Hey everyone, so this is vlog number 2 for Comm 45, and for here I'll be talking about chapter 13 of the rhetorical acts, as well as the chapter 7 essays in the RPC. And so first we'll talk about chapter 13, understanding the medium of transmission, and here it talks about how the media has the power to influence or shape the way people think. And here he talks about how the media messages are constructed in ways to which fits a society's wants or needs for entertainment. And because of this, it affects the stories that are published daily, and also talks about how journalists don't actually get to create these stories. Instead, they actually co-create it because the media has to construct these stories a certain way that society will be interested in them. And because of this, it encourages us to listen to a wide array of media outlets or sources rather than sticking to only specific ones. It also talks about how different people experience the same media messages differently. For this, an example is certain slang that this generation has created, and some people like my parents or just people in the older generation don't really get what the slang means, or they usually end up asking me what a certain word means. And then another key part is that how the media is very profit is basically a business, and we are, of course, the media's consumers, and because of that, they must continue to create content in which keeps us interested. And so because of that, they always have to adjust to basically the society's needs. For example, like gaming has been a popular trend nowadays, and because of this, they're taking advantage of like esports and everything like that. So to sum it up, the 7 fundamentals of media literacy mentioned in this chapter is: media messages are constructed, media messages have their own language rules, media messages are experienced different by different people. Uh, the media is obviously profit driven, and the media has embedded values. The media is extremely persuasive and obviously has a lot of power to influence society, and the medium is the message. So starting with the RPC essays, here we'll start with Vicimus Knox's essay on novel reading. And here he explains how books were specifically made for the youth's entertainment because they had a higher tendency to read because they were just extremely curious. And because of this, there was a growing speculation that these fictional books were actually bad for children because it sets an unrealistic mindset for children in the future, in which they'll think that these fictional things could happen in the real world. But although it has that negative, it also comes with is positive, which is it helps children become more creative and use their imagination. So on the second essay, Teen Literature and Fan Culture by Robin Brenner, he explains the power of social media as it continues to grow in today's society. And he talks about how the media is able to influence people through different social media outlets like social media websites, movies, music, books, whatever. And from these different social media platforms, people can share their common interests and discuss and entertain one another from them. So, for the essay The Art of Immersion, Fear of Fiction by Frank Rose, he talks about the effect that technology can bring to its consumers, and he talks about how it can actually misguide people's perceptions. So, for example, he talks about how he uh, started playing Dungeons and Dragons, and he started getting really hooked on these games. Eventually, led him to working in the tech industry, and he explains how these games are starting to become very realistic, and because of this, um, a lot of the fictional things that are happening in these games that are looking extremely realistic are causing people to have a different perception in real life, as they're kind of in the mindset where they expect these fictional things in these games to happen in real life. And now, because of this, people are forgetting the true reality of life, and stick to playing these games because it's kind of just the fictional world that they're used to living in. So, in the essay My Zombie, Myself, Why Modern Life Feels Rather Dead, written by Chuck Klosterman, he makes the comparison of zombies and our regular daily routines. So he talks about how these zombies are kind of easy to kill, just like how our regular daily routines are easy to do, as we continuously do them. And he also talks about the growth of social media, and how many people are starting to get addicted to their phones, and are actually even unable to stay away from being on their phones, like kind of feeling like they really need to be on their phones, just like how zombies really need or like crave to eat humans, basically. So basically, yeah, it's sad how the main communication now is through our phones rather than in-person interaction. And so, for the essay Escape from the Matrix by Jacob Burrock, he talks about the phrase FOMO, or fear of missing out. And he talks about how social media has caused a stronger case of FOMO, because of what we see on social media. And sometimes we can see people going on these big trips, or doing some extravagant things, or just whatever, and it causes people to feel like uneasy, or like unsatisfied with themselves, because they want to be doing the same thing these people are doing. And basically, he emphasized that we need to be content with ourselves and how we are living, and sometimes we just have to get used to it. And yeah, and yeah, so we should just be content with ourselves, and not always have to fit into the norms of social media. So, from Bowmore's reading, Why Video Games Should Be Played with Friends, Not Online Strangers, he talks about how we should play with our friends through these video game platforms rather than strangers. And obviously, in today's generation, people are now playing online, um, with their friend or with friends or with other people rather than in-person interactions. So here he encourages us to play these video games online with our actual friends in person, because then it'll help build our relationships with our friends, so that when outside interactions actually happen, you'll still be extremely close to your friends.